New captain of the Mary Celeste was Benjamin Briggs. On November 7th, 1872, the ship departed to New York with Captain Briggs, his wife, young daughter, and his crew of 8. The captain, his family, and crew were never seen again. In 1947, the body of 22-year-old Elizabeth Short was found in 2 pieces in a parking lot in Los Angeles, California. Many rumors and tales have spread about the Black Dahlia, and the investigation, one of the largest in Los Angeles, never found the killer.
Join us for these intriguing mysteries. You may be able to help solve a mystery. The Shroud of Turin bears the image of a man who died in a crucifixion. Most people believe it to be the image of Jesus Christ. Currently, it is being held in the Cathedral of St. John, Turin, Italy.
Despite many scientific investigations, no one has yet been able to explain how the image has been imprinted on the shroud, and despite many attempts, no one has been able to replicate it.
Some of the best scientists in the world have observed this image, measured, studied it, and still have no explanation for how the image was formed.
The Mary Celeste was a ship launched in 1860 under the original name, the Amazon.
The new captain of the Mary Celeste was Benjamin Briggs, a master with 3 previous commands. On November 7th, 1872, the ship departed to New York with Captain Briggs, his wife, young daughter, and his crew of 8. The ship was loaded with 1,700 barrels of raw American alcohol bound for Genoa, Italy. The captain, his family, and crew were never seen again. The ship was found floating in the middle of the Strait of Gibraltar. There were no signs of struggle on board, and all documents except the captain's log were missing. In early 1873, it was reported that 2 lifeboats grounded in Spain. One was a body and an American flag, and the other containing 5 bodies. It has been alleged that these could have been the remains of the crew of the Mary Celeste. However, the bodies apparently were never identified.
The Taos hum is a low-pitched sound found in numerous places worldwide, especially the United States and the UK. Many people describe it as being a distant diesel engine.
Since it has been proven indetectable by microphones or VLF antenna, its source and nature is still a mystery. In 1997, Congress directed scientists and observers from the most prestigious research institutes in the nation to look into the strange, low-frequency noise heard by residents in the small town of Taos. To this day, no one knows what causes the hum. In 1947, the body of 22-year-old Elizabeth Short was found in 2 pieces in a parking lot in Los Angeles, California. According to newspaper reports, shortly after the murder, Short received the nickname the Black Dahlia.
I simply think that someone dropped the tag on her, and it related to the film The Blue Dahlia, which had been released the prior year, 1946, an Alan Ladd, Veronica Lake, William Bendix movie.
Many rumors and tales have spread about the Black Dahlia, and the investigation, one of the largest in Los Angeles, never found the killer.
The Count of St Germain was a man whose origin is unknown and disappeared without a trace.
The Count St Germain was a adventurer, inventor, amateur scientist, violinist, amateur composer, and a mysterious gentleman. He also displayed some skills with the practice of alchemy. He was known as the Wonder Man. Since his death, various occult organizations has adopted him as the model figure or even as a powerful deity. In recent years, several people have claimed to be the Count St Germain. The Voynich manuscript is a medieval document written in an unknown script and an unknown language. For over 100 years, people have tried to break the code, not to avail. The puzzling details of illustrations have fueled many theories about the book's origins, the contents of its text, and the purpose for which it was intended.
In the latter half of 1888, London was terrorized by numerous murders. The name Jack the Ripper was taken from a letter sent to a newspaper by a man claiming to be the killer.
The victims were typically prostitutes who had their throats cut and their bodies mutilated. In some cases, the bodies were discovered just minutes after the Ripper had left the scene.
And in the case of the murder victims, it is likely that they were forced to the ground, and then with a single slash of the knife, their throats were cut back to the bone.
The police at the time had many suspects, but could never find sufficient evidence to convict anyone. To this day, no one knows who the Ripper was. The Bermuda Triangle is an area of water in the North Atlantic Ocean, in which a large number of planes and boats have gone missing in mysterious circumstances. Over the years, many explanations have been put forward for the disappearances, including bad weather, alien abductions, time warps, and suspension in the law of physics. Although substantial documentation exists to show that many of the reports have been exaggerated, there is still no explanation for an unusual large number of disappearances.
The Zodiac Killer was active in Northern California in the late 1960s. He has killed at least 5 people and injured 2 more.
He committed the first 2 murders with a pistol, just inside Necia border. In his second shooting in Vallejo, he attempted to kill 2 people, but one survived despite gunshots to the head and neck. 40 minutes later, the police received an anonymous phone call from a man claiming to be their killer and admitting to murders of 2 previous victims. 1 month, 3 letters were sent to newspapers in California containing a cipher that the killer claimed would give his name.
The genius of Zodiac's cryptograms, first of all, he laid them out like works of art, very perfectly arranged. He would use 16 different symbols for the letter E, for instance, and he would not repeat them. He'd go completely through the 16 before he began, which made it very, very difficult. He kept them short, 360 symbols, and the longest one we had. That made it difficult to break.
To this day, the Zodiac murders have not been solved. During the analysis of the film footage of the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, a mysterious woman was spotted. She was wearing a brown overcoat and a scarf on her head, which is similar to the scarves Russian grandmothers wear, also called babushkas. The woman appeared to be holding something in front of her face, which is believed to be a camera. She appears in many photos of the scene. Even after the shooting, when most people had fled the area, she remained in place and continued to film. The FBI publicly requested that the woman come forward and give them the footage she shot, but she never did. In 1970, a woman called Beverly Oliver came forward and claimed to be the Babushka Lady, though her story contains many inconsistencies.
I was not aware that that was a shot being fired, and maybe perhaps that's why I continued to film, because I thought it was a backfire or a firecracker. I mean, I wasn't used to being around guns. I did not realize that those were shots until I saw in the frame of my camera President Kennedy's head come off, the back of his head. Then I realized that that was a shot.
She is generally regarded as a fraud.
To this day, no one knows who the Babushka Lady was or what she was doing there. More unusual, her refusal to give the evidence. Tune in next time for another episode of Listverse List, and go to www.listverse.com for more great lists.